Let's bring you some details about the iconic Netaji statue. On your screens right now, 28-foot long grand statue to be made of granite. These are the details. Netaji statue is going to be 6 feet in width. Statue is going to be placed in canopy replacing the eternal flame, as you can see right there. Jade black stone to be brought in from Telangana to make this particular statue. It can be seen easily from the Resina Hills as well. It is to reclaim India's history at the iconic India Gate. It is going to stand at the spot of UK's King's statue. All right, let's take this across to Jayanta Chaudhary, author and researcher on Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, Anuj Dhar. He's an author and historian as well. Let's begin with Jayanta. Tell us a little about how iconic this particular moment is as, 125 years of Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. I think your mic is on mute, Jayanta. If you could unmute your mic.
Okay.
Yes, now you're audible. Go on. You're audible now.
Okay. I support Prime Minister's this step for installation of Netaji's statue in front of India Gate. At least it is an initial step to get rid of colonial hangover. And Netaji's biography should be rewritten based on Mukherjee Commission's report as well as declassified files from National Archives. Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose is our iconic hero, no doubt, but his life is totally distorted by a few handful of biographers, by Indian and foreign biographers, that it is obvious from declassified file that number one, no air crash took place on 18th August 1945. Number two, the so-called car showed Netaji Bhavan as Great Escaper. It is not proven fact. And number three, it is interesting that so-called daughter is not connected with Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, and biologically, genetically, or legally. History and biography should be rewrite on the declassified file and Mukherjee Commission report. And that will be our great tribute to our iconic hero.
Absolutely. Let me also take this to Anuj Dhar. He's an iconic historian. Anuj, tell us a little about what Jayanta said. He says the classified files have also mentioned that there was no crash that took place and there was a bit of a distortion as far as the biography of Netaji is concerned. Do you concur?
Well, thank you for having me here. But first we must talk about these heartwarming scenes. What we're seeing right now, witnessing the Prime Minister is, going to Parliament House. Well, my thoughts go back to year 1978, first of all, because when India became free, there were, demands of having Netaji's portrait in the assembly, which became the Parliament House. The government didn't agree. And they refused to have Netaji's portrait until 1978. It was only in 1778 because of the efforts of Professor Samogo, the well-known parliamentarian, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who had by this time become the foreign minister. Because of the efforts, for the first time in 1978, we had Netaji's photograph, the portrait unveiled in Parliament House. Now, coming to present, this is what is happening right now, in a sense, is mind-boggling, because even we didn't imagine this would happen. But come to think of it, here you are, this is the Rajpath, this is the most prestigious road in the country. You have on one side the India Gate, on the other you have the National War Memorial, and there stands this canopy, and you had the statue of King George.
It's indeed fantastic. And I'm coming back to that point, Anuj Dhar. My question here is about whether you concur with what your co-panelist Jayanta just spoke about.
Well, I entirely agree, because see the two issues on which we must be putting our focus on. Netaji played the most pivotal role in making India free. So in a sense, the statue is a recognition of that his position in Indian history. The second thing, files about him are not fully declassified. So the issue of a death remains. What government has done, they have released a number of PMO, ME and MHA file, but not a single intelligence file has been touched. So the intelligence files must come out and other measures have to be taken. For example, talking to Russians about it. But the problem when you talk to Russians, when we have not declassified our own files, So unless until my own IB and raw information is in public domain, there's no point my going to KGB or Russians or Americans for that matter. So this has to be done. This process must start. So I believe, beginning today, when so much of spotlight on Subhash Bose, this must be taken up. And of course, like Janta said very correctly, there has been a lot of distortion. In fact, distortion is also coming from his own family members. Some of the members aligned to either left or Congress party have been, presenting Subhash Chandra Bose as they see him. So that should not be the case. Now, Netaji is not what you see him as it was. Netaji, what he was, he was. So we must go by facts and data and put, the correct picture before the people of this country. And then what I've understood that the young people, especially the very, very keen about Subhash Bose, and the government's attempt over the years, over the decades after independence, to keep Netaji, under wraps, put him on the, on the margins, has actually boomeranged on them. So people are all the more keen to know about him, and the issue of his death will not go away. So now that his life is in spotlight beginning today, I believe the death mystery is going to come back, and the time has come for the country to settle this as well.
That's a very interesting point you brought to the fore, Jayanta. I want to bring this across to you as well. Now that this large statue is coming up, and such a grand moment in India, as well as we are remembering the daring steps that he took to fulfill the fierce commitment to the idea of free India, which is Azad Hai, then there has always been a mystery surrounding his death as well. Has the time now come to put an end to that mystery and know the facts? Jayanta?
Yes.
The question was to you.
What's the question?
The question is, that has the time now come when the nation needs to know what really happened as far as his death is concerned? As he's back in focus with this tall statue coming up. Everyone is remembering the fierce commitment that he had made to the idea of free India, but his death still continues to remain a mystery.
Exactly. It's a shame for us as a nation. It's a shame for us. We don't know about the fate of Subhash Chandra Bose. And we also know that very well, that Vavanji was none other than Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. It is also said by Justice Mukherjee Commission. But we, the so-called intelligentsia of India, so-called historians, educationists, politicians are bum over this issue. It is our shame for us. It is high time to unveil the Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose's main truth. That will be our great tribute to Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose.
But who will do this? Anuj Dhar, who is going to do this? The onus falls upon whom to bring the facts to the fore?
Jointly, it should be a holistic approach. Both Netaji researchers, politicians, both intelligentsia of all over India. Not only all over India, all over world, they should be aware, because Netaji's activities is not restricted in Bengal or India. Half of the globe is related with Subhash Chandra Bose's activities. That's why it is high time. It is already 125th anniversary. So we should take step from government level, from media level. We know Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was a mass communicator also. From my research work, I find that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was a journalist, an author, and mass communicator. So,
Abhijit Ray, the grand-nephew of Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, is also joining us on this broadcast. Appreciate you taking the time out, Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray, both our panelists are talking about the mystery surrounding the death of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, saying that it is a shame that we still do not know what really happened right there. Would you like to make an appeal to the government of India today to really go ahead and solve the mystery? Because now with this tribute that is going out and the statue that is coming out, his life is back in focus.
No, you see, till now, in the textbook of history, Netaji, he's created provisional government of Azad Hind, and under which he rebuilt the Azad Hind force. It has not yet had any place in the textbooks of history. So we had already appealed to the Prime Minister when we met him in his residence on behalf of the Bose family and other activists. We are once again conveying this to the central government and the respective state government. Please make arrangements to write and document the true history of Indian independence movement, where appropriate mention is there about the great revolutionaries, about Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, about provisional government of Azad Hind in exile, and also the Azad Hind Fauj. Because what we believe now, what we are getting from the archives, not from Indian archives, but from England archives. If the first war of independence was fought in 1857, the last war of independence was fought in 1944 at the northeast sector of India. And this was fought by the Azad Hind Fauj under the leadership of Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. And because of this fight, because of this war, ultimately the British were forced to leave India and grant us freedom. And that is what has to be recorded, written and documented in the books of history, textbooks of history.
Absolutely, Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray, also our other panelists were of the opinion that there is a lot of distortion as far as his biography is concerned as well. Would you concur?
Madam, I beg permission.
First, let Netaji be recognized in the pages of history. That is not there. And there are many stories about his biographies and all that. That can be, but first, let the Indian government recognize the role of Netaji in the freedom struggle in the textbooks of history first. That is the preliminary thing, and that is the ultimate thing. We know that he was a great hero, and Netaji was actually the liberator of India. And not only that, his efforts have enthused many of the nations of the Southeast Asia to fight for their freedom. Therefore, today also in Japan and in many other Southeast Asian countries, Netaji is considered as the hero of Asia. So this thing is not recognized by our own Indian government. This is a national shame for us.
All right. Appreciate you all joining us. Stay on with us. Let's also bring you Netaji's fight for freedom on your screens right now. A little about his fight for freedom now. He was born in 1897, I beg your pardon, in Orissa. He's one of the most prominent leaders of the Indian freedom struggle. He joined the INC under Gandhi's influence. He was also jailed during the civil disobedience movement of 1930. He was elected president of Haripura Congress session in 1938. He took over independence movement in East Asia in the year 1943, formed Azad Hind Fauj that comprised of war prisoners as well. Reportedly killed in an air crash in 1945, which is still debatable till date. We're getting some breaking news coming in. We'll have to cut straight across to it.